Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. It's Denise Salcedo, and I'm very stoked to introduce to you my guest for today. He is All Elite Wrestling's very own, the natural Dustin Rhodes. What's up, Dustin? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Denise. I've been looking forward to this.
I know, me too. Honestly, from the second that I found out that you were going to be on to be able to do this podcast, I was like, hell yeah, I'm so excited because I feel like, God, I mean, you've had such a long career when we can really jump in so many different directions. But I'll start off with this. The last couple of weeks, we have been seeing so much of you on AEW. It's been awesome. Just this past week, your match with Christian Cage, work you've been doing with Willie Mack on Collision. We saw you with Swerve Strickland at World's End. How has it been, especially the last couple of weeks, getting to have more TV matches on AEW?
It's been a lot of fun. I'm extremely sore after the Christian match. It usually takes about 2 days before it really kicks in. So my shoulders, my knees, and my neck are all on fire. I know he's hurting too, but hey, man, that's what happens when you're a little bit old.
So, you mentioned kind of how you're feeling right now and everything that's hurting for you. What keeps you going, Dustin? Like over 3+ decades in professional wrestling, constantly on TV, multiple promotions. What keeps you going?
Over 5 decades.
Oh my God.
Five, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s.
Damn.
Um,
Damn.
to be honest with you, I think it's my sobriety that keeps me going. Since I got clean and sober 15 years ago, it has put this kind of new shine on my life that I need to kick it into gear and continue growing and continue what I love to do, which is this wonderful business we're in, and have some fun. And it's all about having fun. If you can't have fun at your job, then you don't really need to be in it. And I'm very good at what I do, so I love this business. And I just each time I go out there, it is an opportunity for me to be kind of a teacher for the youngins in the back, because I'm very old school with a little new school attitude. So without the old school, there is no new school, right? So it's like all these people do all these impressive things all the time, and then what I like to do is completely different than that, and that's to tell a story. It's very important to me because the fans they have made us, right? So without the fans, we're nothing. And the fans that are going through their day, and they might be having a terrible day or whatever, and they turn on the TV on AEW just to watch us, it is my job to take them out of that day and entertain them, but make them feel something. That's the most important thing, is to move somebody and to make them feel something. Because if you make them feel something, they're going to come back. And so that's kind of my goal every time that I go out there. It's I get a lot more nervous at my age for some reason, which is really weird. And I think they're good nerves, and I've always been nervous, but really since I've turned 50, it's like every time I go out there, I'm just like, oh my God, man, I can't mess up. I can't mess up. Because there's people out there, they're going to be like, oh, Dustin needs to retire. And I hate that. I don't want that. I want to kill it each time. I want to put on a banger and tell a good psychological story for the fans to enjoy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I take it almost as like, even though you mentioned 5+ decades in the business, it's almost like when you're going out there, you almost sort of feel like you still sort of have to prove that, hey, you belong here and you can still go out there and do your thing the way that you have been. Is that sort of like, just based off of what you said, feeling that extra pressure, that extra sort of nervousness?
I don't think I really need to prove myself anymore, but I think it's just an internal thing that I need to prove to myself, hey, I can still go out there and do this, right? But as far as proving to anybody else, I believe people know how good I am, and that I can go out there and wrestle circles around some of the youngins even still today. And we have some incredible talent, and I'm just trying to keep up. I'm just trying to keep, in a word, young, right? And it's very difficult when you're 54, almost 55. But just to throw in a couple of new things by evolving your characters and changing things up every once in a while, I'm good at that. And that gives me a little more life and gives me a little longer to kind of enjoy it, right? Before I need to switch it up again. And I think that's the key to my career, is evolving. And all the characters that I've done over the years, and the different concoctions of all these characters have been wonderful, and they've been good teachers to me on how to do certain things and what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. So, I try to stick with what I'm good at, but I'm always learning something, even from the young kids, man. They do some things, and I'm like, oh, man, that was really cool. I didn't know you could get into that way, right? So I'm always learning. I'm always a student of the game, always studying constantly, just trying to keep up, right? And it's a young man's game right now, but I'm not willing to step aside just quite yet. I'm having the time of my life. I love working for AEW. It's the funnest place on the planet I've ever worked at. It genuinely is. I feel good going to work every week. Now this week I'm a little sore, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get up early in the morning Tuesday, fly to Savannah. Here we go. But it's worth it, once I get through the day and get in the gym every single day. That's kind of what keeps me loose. You got to grease the oil the tin man, right? I'm the tin man, and I need lots of oil, and I go to the gym every single day just to that is my addiction now, whether I'm a body guy or not, because I'm not, right? I'm not a bodybuilder type person, but it clears my head. It gets me focused. It gets me in tune to like what I need to do that day. And if I can just do that every day, it's like the thing I say on Twitter all the time, which my dad kind of coined once I got out of rehab, was to keep stepping. And he would call me every single day, keep stepping. Are you stepping? Are you stepping, Dustin? Yeah, I'm stepping. I'm doing my program. I'm doing the things I need to do. So that's kind of my thing, man. And it's cool to see fans on Twitter, it touching people. And that means a lot to me, right? It's like they're going through something, because everybody has those issues, right? Everybody has something going on, a dysfunction of some sort. And it's nice to see that, I can bring them out of a dark hole and back into the light. So that has a lot to do with my legacy, man. I think my legacy is my sobriety. I love this business, and it's been great to me. And I think I'm pretty much loved with the AEW locker room, and with any, organization, with WWE or whatever. I've done a really good job, and I've had a great career, and I have no regrets. So I'm just trying to take it day by day, as long as I can, till the wheels literally fall off. Because at some point, very soon, probably in a couple years, I'm going to need knee replacements. And it's like I said just a second ago, it's oiling the tin man. It's keeping me to where I need to be just for today, right?
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. I think like anytime that you come out and we know that you're going to have a match, like I already know, okay, I got to sit down, really pay attention to the psychology and the story of this match, because I know that that's what I'm going to get from a Dustin Rhodes match. And it's been really cool, like I said, to not only see you in AEW like this whole entire time, but to also get to see you even a little bit more so in like this year so far. It's been really cool. Now, you mentioned the young locker room, and obviously there's a mixture. You got a mixture of different types of performers, different types of people with different levels of their career in AEW. For you, like, what is the experience like backstage? Like, what is it like, going out there and being there with, that mixture of talent and people coming up to you, and I'm sure asking you for advice, asking you to look over their matches? What's that whole experience like?
I feel very honored when somebody comes up and asks me, hey, Dustin, can you watch my match? Or can you pick this apart for me? What did I do? That kind of thing, right? And to be able to have an answer for that is pretty awesome, because of my experience. And I love the kids, all of them. They're doing some awesome things, and I think they've just kind of taken me as one of them. We have a great locker room. Our camaraderie is awesome. It feels like a team. And sometimes, we just all come together and everything is perfect. We make magic. and the young kids are the future, right? So it is a young man's game, and they're doing amazing. If I can help them in any way, um, make their characters better or make their move set better, I want to. And when they listen to me and they go out and they apply it and it works, that's the payoff for me, right? It's not about money in that instance, right? It's not. That's the payoff for me, because it's like, I told you so kind of thing. Not to be an asshole, but just like, I told you so, man. Trust me. I know what I'm doing. I can get you there. And if they don't ask, that's fine. I mean, I'm there. I'm there every single week, an hour before call time, training our girls, whoever wants to show up. And I've done that since the inception. And it's been really cool to watch our ladies division grow, because I'm a huge ladies wrestling fan, especially our locker room, because I know them all very, very close. And it's really cool to see them kind of shine in their own light, and to grow. Like Nyla Rose is like one of the biggest people that I've seen grow over the years. Over the 5 years we've been in business, and it's quite a thing to see, and I love it. But that's the payoff for me. You know what I mean?
Definitely, definitely. And that's the thing, like, I'm curious too, because when it comes to, you mentioned Nyla Rose and you mentioned the growth that she's had, but there's also because AEW is such a young company, that in the next 5 years, you're going to be seeing like some new mega stars that haven't been stars before. When you look at the roster that AEW has right now, who are some of those talents that have seriously impressed you where you're like, man, in like 5 years, like this person is going to be like, when you think of AEW, this is the person you're thinking of, or just wherever they're at with their careers?
You look at our homegrown talent, and seeing them just come in and really not ever have been on television. Like, you take Darby Allin, you take Sammy Guevara, you take, God, there's so many, man. I'm just trying to think. I think Sammy and Darby really stick out to me. Darby's crazy, Sammy's crazy, but they're so good. And, I worry about their bodies, because they're just put through so much, and it's not like it's 35 years in the business is a long time. And I've done some crazy crap before, but Darby does it every week, and it's crazy. I love Orange is a hell of a worker who can tell a story, and has this crazy gimmick that's over like wildfire, and you look at Private Party, those kids are great. The youth movement is really very cool to see, and I love that they're getting the opportunity to shine, because they deserve it. It's about them. It's not about me anymore. But like I said, I'm not ready to relinquish that title and pass it on yet. By no means do I think I'm any level of Sting or anybody like that, but I'm a legend in the business, and it's taken me a lot of years to kind of realize that and be confident in saying that, because I'm humble. I'm not really that type of person that does that all the time. I just like to give. I'm a giver. I have a huge heart. I love the business. I'm not a politicker. I'm not an ass kisser. I don't do those things. I just work hard. I think I have a lot of grit, a lot of heart, and I just put my love and passion into what I'm doing every single time I go out there. And if these kids can learn to do that, which they're doing a great job, they're going to be just fine. MJF, another one. It's, so many. Hook is killing it right now. Came off a crazy match with Samoa Joe. I mean, God, we got so many young kids who are just like, and the girls, you look at Billy. She's young, right? And she's killing it right now. She had a great storyline with Athena, just doing some wonderful things, gets great reactions. Now you got Deanna, you got so many of these girls that are just, they want that opportunity, and they just, if they get that opportunity, I know they're going to kill it. Abaddon, another one that I've taken a close kind of working with her on her character, and just the moments in between things that she does that's so important. And with Abaddon, I treat her differently than the other ladies, because she's a movie to me. I treat her like a film. So everything is about a camera angle or a camera shot on her face, her facial expressions, or how she turns her head, or crawling over somebody's body. It's theatrical to me. It's cinematic. And I love that with Abaddon. She's got a crazy character, and she's been getting a lot of work lately, and it's fun.
I was gonna say, if anyone knows about the theatrics and the cinematic and any of that portion, it's definitely you, Dustin, for sure. So here's the thing: you've been a part of so many different promotions throughout your entire career. I want to focus in on AEW and ask you how you feel. How have they changed pro wrestling? AEW.
I think AEW, we came in as an alternative, right? And it is an alternative to WWE. And I think we're doing a hell of a job at growing and getting better. Uh, we still have a ways to go, just like any brand new company. Even though 5 years is not like brand new, it's still, we all have our we got to grow just like everybody else, and everybody else has to be on the same page for it to happen. We have to come together as a team to make this thing happen. And there's a lot of, right now, what I hate the most is the tribalism between with our fans between AEW and WWE. It's like, just love wrestling, watch it or don't, right? I mean, stop with bullshit about, oh, I'm gonna watch AEW because WWE's the best, or vice versa. Just enjoy wrestling. You get wrestling with us. You get entertainment with WWE, right?
Exactly. You get different worlds. It's different worlds. Obviously, I watch and follow everything, and there's great stuff on both shows, like there should be, but they are different worlds.
They're two different things. Yeah. And that's what we said we were going to do. We're going to wrestle. And that's what AEW is. It's pro wrestling, right? And yes, we have storylines. Yes, we have some funny segments and some backstage segments and things. And I think that's good. We need those. But when it comes down to it, when you get in the ring, it's about wrestling, right? And if you got a character like Orange Cassidy who does his things and gets huge reactions, huge pops, you look at his YouTube viewers, and he's got the most. He's up there. It's crazy, and that's why he's over, because they love his character. And then you have people out there that just try to bring us down, on Twitter, and it's sickening. I'm so tired of it. It's like, enjoy wrestling or don't, right? If you want to,
Exactly.
if you want to watch us, watch us. If you don't, go away.
Yeah, it's the whole thing with the tribalism. It's more so like I try to see it as like I think a lot of people don't realize how great it is for the wrestling business, for the wrestlers, for the fans to have a company like AEW that is thriving, because then you get all of these people that probably would not have been right now at this moment with WWE, yet they're going out there and being able to tell these stories and have these matches. So yes, I think it's definitely important to have companies like AEW, like Impact, like so many others that are going out there and just doing stuff. So Dustin, I do want to ask you about one of my, we're talking about like big moments in AEW and part of the history of AEW. Obviously, it's a short history, but still a history already. First Double or Nothing, you and Cody Rhodes had this phenomenal matchup. Given how long you guys had been wanting to have that matchup, when you go back and you think about it, how do you feel about it when you go back and you think about the work that you and Cody were able to do together?
That was a very special night for me. Um, and I've listened to Cody about it. It's not his top match, he says, but man, it's mine. You know what I mean? It's very special in my heart. And to do that at 50, right, it's a great achievement for somebody like me, man. It really is, to be in my kind of my shape, still in good shape, to be able to go out there with the young kids and pull things off. Um, it's so amazing, when I was so nervous when Cody's music hit and he broke the throne with the sledgehammer and all that. I'm just waiting for my entrance, right? And this new upstart company, AEW, I didn't know how the fans would respond to me, whether they would boo me or whether they would, cheer me or whatever. So I'm so nervous and I'm so laser focused on what I'm doing. But it was like, God, my butterflies in my stomach were crazy. My music hit and they responded in kind. And I was like, okay, it's not so bad. And I'm always like that. As soon as I go through the tunnel, it goes away. Right. And then I'm laser focused on what I need to do, man. And it's like, it was good to feel that reaction from a new fan base that had watched me my whole career, but they're different than WWE fans. To go down there and, I've explained this before, and let's see if you can understand it. I step in the ring, right, and they start chanting Dusty's name, right, which really just, oh man, chills on your body. You're in the moment. You're so laser focused, and you hear that for a moment because I point to the sky. I point up, and they started to chant Dusty, and then all of a sudden, the sound and everybody in the arena has become blurry to me, right? I can hear them, but I can't hear them. I can see them, but I can't. I'm so focused on Cody and what we need to do right now to get it to where it is. Because for years and years, I was told, no, it wasn't good enough to be on WrestleMania or whatever. So we had a thing to prove here. And I was focused about it. And we probably could have done a couple things wrong in that match, and it still wouldn't have mattered. It was so good. The story was built in, one promo apiece. They were ready for it. All the stars aligned. The magic happens, and we struck lightning. And it was really cool to do. And I think that match will go down in history as one of the greatest matches of all time. There's some great matches out there, but I think it really it holds water. I think it's going to be talked about for 10 years from now, 15, 20 years from now, like Savage Steamboat, right? I think it is of that caliber, and I think it is a true story between a brother and a brother, good versus evil even, and just the way we told the story was very magical. I'm very proud of it. It was a great moment for me, and it is number one. It's tops for me. So now to work him again ever, I've told him no, I would never do that again, but you never say never. It's like, I don't want to touch that. It's so good. Why try to best it? Because it's, I don't think that's possible.
I was there for that match that day, and I still remember the way that the crowd was just like holding on to like everything that you guys were doing, because it was this journey that you guys took us through in this entire matchup. And I just remember like the visuals of the blood. And when I think about top matches in AEW history, like that's one of the first ones that pops up in my mind. So with that being said, were you bummed when Cody left AEW?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I love my brother, but he has to do what he needs to do. He has a story that he's had in his mind that he has to finish, and we've all heard it every single week. He's finished the story, and I tell him that all the time, and I hope he does. I think he's probably slated for it this year. At least I'm hoping. I mean, he doesn't know yet, so it's. We're just kind of playing it by ear. He's working hard. He's trying his hardest to be the face of that company. And it would be nice to get a payoff with the one Rhodes in the family that actually pulls it off, right? It's pretty cool. So I'm behind him 110%. Very happy for him. I love him to death. And he's earned it. He deserves it. I mean, deserving has nothing to do with things, but I really do believe he deserves it. But more so, has earned it. And he's a great businessman. He's got a good mind for creating, kind of like my dad did, right? I'm the worker of the family. Dad was the creator, and I think Cody has a little bit of both. So it's incredible, right? I'm not the creator type. I can't be a booker. That's not me. I won't do that. That'll just tear my soul apart.
You wouldn't even try it like ever.
Well, I do it with my school, right? I do, like when we get to the end of Rhodes Wrestling Academy's camp, we put on a showcase. So I book those matches, right? So I do get a little taste of it, and it is a good practice for me, producing and things like that. I've got a lot of producing under my belt now, and I try to put the kids, I try to look at them all and say, what's the best fit for this and that, and who do I want to put the title on, or do we want to, change the title, stuff like that. I just try to make it fit so it's entertaining for the fans for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, right? And yeah, so I mean, I think I'm doing okay. I've had 9 showcases, and they've all gotten better as I've gone. this camp we're in right now. It's our 3rd week. So today I'm so sore. Oh my God. It's going to be very hard for me to teach them anything, but I got to do it. Right. And usually around the six week mark, and I have a bunch of newcomers. There's only 2 that kind of have had a little bit of training. So this camp has a lot of newcomers and they're struggling, but they're doing good. Right. And around the 6 week mark, I tell them, you're going to see a change. It's happened to every camp, and they just kind of, it clicks and they start to get it a little more, and then you see them smile and you see them kind of go with it, and and here we go, we grow the next 6 weeks and we try to get ready for the showcase, and they do a great job, and I love it. I love teaching.
That's awesome. I know I can definitely hear the passion from you when it comes to like when you talk about the newer talent, younger talent, getting to teach and work with younger talent. I definitely feel that. Now, I do want to go ahead and touch on, a lot because there's so much I feel like we can get into. Now, there are a couple of topics that I wanted to make sure that we hit on in this interview. And the first thing is that, so we were mentioning this match that you had with Cody Rhodes and how it's definitely up there on your list when you think of these big moments. I do want to rewind a little bit and talk about the matches that you've had in your career alongside your dad, because you got to team up with him even like in your first like major pay-per-view back in 1991 in the Royal Rumble. You got to team up with him, and then you also got to do a War Games with him, Fall Brawl 1994. I mean, there's just so much. Like when you go back and you think of those moments, when you think of teaming with your dad, like what was those experiences like for you?
Oh, I mean, special. I mean, you can't top that, right? It's like you get to go out there and really it be as closer than the front row. You're right there as somebody who is a student watching this, and your dad is at the level that he's at, just watching the people and listening and trying to just figure it out, right? And me being his son, it was like, man, this is really cool. And then, but you tag me in, Dad, right? And I get in. It's not the reaction that Dad gets when he gets in, and it's very special. I remember him and I worked at the Tokyo Dome. We worked for, I think it was a WCW Super Show with New Japan, and we had 77,000 or 74,000, and me and Dad worked Masa Saito and Kim Duck, and it was crazy. I've never seen a crowd that big because I was young, right? So it was like, this is unbelievable, so nerve-wracking. And he just walks out there and starts shaking his ass and does his things, and I'm looking around and the fans are going crazy, and I'm just, what an awesome, so lucky and honored to get to do a few of those with Dad, several actually. And man, you can't explain it. It's just, it's your dad, and you're the sidekick, right? But I'm a son, and I get to be in there with him next to, like, for me, godlike. He was like a god to me. He was everything. He was a hero. And Cody would say the same thing. It's just we had 2 different childhoods, and there's a big age gap between us. And but man, just to be in there with God is incredible. I can't really explain it. It's just very special. Just awe inspiring. Makes you want to even be a pro wrestler even more. I want to be just like him. And that was early on when I wanted to just be just like him. And, it took me a while to figure out it's impossible. I got to go fill my own shoes. And so hence Goldust. Yeah. So it was great.
Yeah, I still, one of the promos that really gets me is when he was asking you to be in the War Games match. That was just such a beautiful moment.
Yeah, that promo for Cody and I both is very hard for us to watch. And I will show that one to our students when we have a promo day. And it is just like, I can't watch it. I will start bawling, man. I'm very emotional, very sensitive, especially when my dad's concerned. And it's so real. And that's what Dad was good at. It was being real. And you see him in that interview, In that promo, he lifts his hand up to the audience, like, shh, right? Be quiet. And they shut down. It's like, oh my God, God is talking right now. It's powerful how he had those people wrapped around his little finger and could do what, in the palm of his hand, and could do what he wanted to. And they would respond because they believed in him and the way he talked. What a promo guy he was, right? He could talk people into the building and they'd be wrapped around the building back in the day. It was crazy. They wanted to see the common man, basically, the blue collar worker, Dusty Rhodes, the American dream, which everybody's fighting for. And I think that's what people could relate. He wasn't a body guy. Didn't go to the gym, and I don't know if he ever went to the gym. I mean, he was heavy set, maybe his body was a little heavy, but he could shake his ass and pull up that elbow, and people believed in it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like, I feel like every time I listen to Dusty Rhodes talk, and like even we were mentioning that promo, it's almost like I feel every person in that building could relate to you and then relate to somebody in their lives, their parents, whoever it is that they love and treasure, the exact same way, and be like, oh my God, if I was Dustin, if I was in his spots, yes, bring my dad into War Games. And like the reaction that he got, because it had been a while since he had, wrestled up until that point. And so when he got in there, it was just like, madness. But that's really awesome. So I was very happy that, I got to ask you about that because, it's such a cool experience. Now, here's the thing, and I was curious about this too, is when you came in, and not only do you already have the pressures of being Dusty Rhodes' son, but you're also given the moniker The Natural. With that, like those two things, what was those pressures like when you first started in your career? Like, what challenges did you face? And sort of a two-part question, I guess, is also how did the talent react to you? How did they treat you because you were Dusty Rhodes' son?
It was tough, okay? Very, very nerve wracking, right? Scared to death. Here I am, 19 years old, thrown into the mix, NWA, with me and Kendall Windham as the Texas Broncos. And I didn't really think about it, right? Once you're there and you're in it and you're focused on working, everybody was nice to me. Everybody was very kind and very helpful, which is a plus. And anytime I ever worked with anybody in the NWA way back there when I just started, I shut up and listened, and they would lead me and get me to where I needed to be. And that's how I learned, and it went on in the 90s and I got better, but I never really thought of, oh, I'm Dusty's son, so they're not going to like me very much, or they're going to have something against me. No, I was working my ass off. I proved myself, and I did. And Dad he didn't shoot me straight to the moon. Yeah, thanks. He didn't shoot me straight to the moon, right? It was like he made me work for that, and I loved it, and I was hungry for it. I was a student, and I did learn, and I continued on, and I was having a great run there, man. And might have been WCW champion at some point. But you win some, you lose some, I guess. But fitting in Dad's shoes, that's all I wanted at that point, right? It was a pressure situation, and I'm just watching him, but I'm also watching my childhood friend and best friend, Barry Windham, and trying to mimic my work a little bit after him, hitting the ropes, just little things that he does in the ring. I wanted to do it just like him. So I learned a lot from Barry and these teachers like Arn Anderson, Barry Windham, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Bobby Eaton. Those were my teachers. Those were my true teachers growing up because I was with them so much. And I mean, my God, if you're with that kind of caliber of a wrestler and you shut up and you just listen to them, it's crazy. It's unbelievable how they would get me to the place we needed to be. And I love them for it, and I will always thank them for it. And finding out that, hey man, you're not going to be able to fill your dad's shoes is a shocker when you're young. You don't understand. Why can't I? Why can't I? Because you're not Dusty Rhodes, Dustin. You're different, right? But I think when I went to WWE and became Goldust, and got that character over, that's when I had a brand new pair of shoes that I fit in myself. So I kind of fit in my own shoes, right? And made a name for myself being the son of Dusty Rhodes. And yes, it was very shocking to Dad because he didn't know. And he sees it on TV. It's like, what the fuck, right? The first time Goldust come on, and it's like Cody's little playing with action figures, watching WWF, and they both see it. And Cody tells the story, and he'll look. He's like, he sees me on TV. He didn't know it's me, right? But then he looks back at Dad, and Dad's got this look on his face, like just what is going on, right? That's my son. What is he doing? I don't know if he's embarrassed or what, but that's when we weren't talking. And I just had to do that, I guess, is I wanted more. I needed, I don't know if it's stardom. I want to continue to wrestle and get better. And that's all I could think about. All I wanted, just being on the road constantly, improving myself, evolving the character. And it was a scary time with the Goldust character at the beginning because I didn't know how to do it. I was like trying to figure it out. And it took me a while because I didn't want to go by the way of just full, you know what, right? I didn't want to do that because I'm just redneck from Austin, Texas. So this was tough for me to try to figure out. But once, and I teach the students this all the time, once you step out of your comfort zone and the things that you were just terrified to do and you do them, that's where the magic happens. It's not going to happen in your little bubble, right? Or your little box. It's not. You can only go so far because you're bumping into the walls. But you get out of that box and you step on the other side, it's a whole new world of stuff. And it's just, how much do you want it? Right? And I wanted it. And that's why it counted, because I wanted it. I was passionate about it. And I wanted to take it to the heights that, I could. And I did.
You certainly did, and that's the thing too. And when it comes to the Goldust character, it sort of started off as one thing and kind of morphed into something else. What was the initial pitch? Like, what was your reaction when the Goldust character was presented to you? Like, what did you think it was going to be, and when and why did it morph into something different?
So I'm surprised you haven't heard this because I've like told this story a lot. Um, I got fired from WCW with Blacktop Boy and the back of the truck match thing, right? So sitting at home, and I get a call from Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard. And Vince says, "Are you sitting down?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "I have this character I want to run by you." So he started explaining it, and he kept using the word androgynous. And I'm a young man. I didn't know what the hell that meant, right? So I'm just kind of listening to him and I'm agreeing. And I would love to do this. And, we started pitching some ideas with the look and things. And, he's saying all these things, but I'm still just really focused on that word he threw out. So we plan on going up I plan on going up and meeting him like in a few days or something from that phone call. And we talk it over some more. So I said, yes. And we hung up the phone. I immediately ran to the dictionary and I looked up the name androgynous, right? The word androgynous. And my bottom lip just kind of dropped, right? I was just like, what the fuck? What the hell did I just agree to? And I sat there for a good 10 minutes and I'm thinking to myself, I can't do this. Yeah, you can. I can't. It was an internal battle fighting it. And finally, I just said, you know what? Let's go for it. Maybe this is the opportunity I needed. WWE is huge at WWF at that time. And, they weren't doing very well in the early 90s. 94, 95 was like a bad year for them. So they brought me in and we put it all together. And I went out and did it and just kind of grew the character. And it took about 6 months before it clicked by me doing something that was outside of my box, right? So that's what worked. And once it worked, I ran with it, man. And I didn't give a shit. Let's go. Let's make some money. Let's draw some houses. Let's have some fun. And it was great. I learned a lot from it. And, yeah. So
Because you had, as Goldust, you had all of these like mannerisms and the way that you would do the breath and just all of the way you spoke. Everything about Goldust, like you mentioned, was outside of the box. How did you like study anybody or anything in particular to like really, really embrace the character?
now Vince was very hands-on with me in the promo work at the beginning. And he really brought out the voice, how he liked it, right? And the remember the name, which I later turned to you will never forget the name, all that kind of stuff. But it's still they still both work, right? So, but the breathing thing just kind of it came to me, and I was just like trying to make these words and think this character's very sensual, weird, out there type person. So I was just trying to think, how can I get this right? And then I thought about the breathing technique and the bite at the end of it, and it worked. But Vince was he. It took us a while to get the voice to where he wanted it. Right? He didn't want it fast, and I would start reading fast or saying words fast, and it was really more of a slow acting kind of character thing, man. It wasn't meant to be a fast thing. It was slow, methodical, getting in your head, playing mind games with your character. And it took me a while to understand that, right? And as it does everybody else, it takes a while before it clicks and kind of gets over. And it was just awesome that he was there, hands on with it, and me being in front of Vince McMahon. He's another godlike figure, father-like figure. It was very daunting and scary. And he wanted it his way, and it's like, yes sir, yes sir, I'm trying here, man. Let's figure it out. Right? But you're nervous. It's like cutting a promo in front of your dad, the greatest promo guy in my mind, in the history. And I'm trying to cut a promo, and I can't even cut promos way back then. And when I was young, I was like trying to figure out how to cut a promo. It was freaking terrible. I didn't know how to watch dad do it. I'm like, why isn't it that easy for me? Well, it just wasn't.
So you mentioned Vince McMahon being very hands-on in the Goldust character. Was there ever, and keep in mind this was so new to you, was there ever like a moment where Vince McMahon suggested anything or like anything and you were like, I don't know about that? Or were you kind of like apprehensive in terms of like, all right, well, fine, I'm gonna try it. But like, how was that like balance of like, okay, I'm gonna go all in, but how far is too far?
He didn't. He did not. He didn't say do this, do that. What he did give me was like the reins, right? To sink or swim. And I took that as, well, I'm going to learn. And, you have common sense. So you don't want to go too far, but you don't know what too far is. And I remember the night in Madison Square Gardens when I was working in Savio and I had the title. And Savio had been talking to me for weeks about trying to just doing this one thing. And I was scared. I was scared. And the Garden, this was early. This was when Vince would go, and it was a house show. Vince would go to these shows, and he was a fan. He would stand at the curtain just like the boys and watch the matches and ooh and ah and pop on certain things. And he was there. So now I'm thinking, Savio wants me to do this, but the boss is here. Will I get in trouble? I'm probably going to get fired. So it's like finally I just agreed to what Savio was wanting me to do. And we went out there and we did it. And it was just a simple thing of we lock up. I go behind him. I rub up and down his chest and down, kind of grazing his nether regions, a little bit. He turns around and I just run out of the ring. And for the first time in like 6 months, I got a reaction that was like, you do not do that shit, Dustin. No, we don't do that here. It's not accepted. I'm sorry. You cannot do that. And they threw every kind of profane word you can imagine at me. And I was like, holy crap, that's it. And I knew that right then. That was how I was going to do this. But am I going to get fired? So I'm thinking, right? And that reaction. And we went in and we did it again. We did another kind of goofy spot like that, and they reacted the same way. And I'm like, this is easy now. Now we got him. But it took me a while to figure that out, right? Then I came back to and I wasn't used to those bodysuits yet. They were very hot. I lost a lot of water weight with those things. So I'm trying to get out of this bodysuit. Vince walks over, and I always have to get help getting out of it. Not anymore. And he walks over to me. Hey, that was some good shit. How about you go back out there and get some heat on Savio, and we'll bring it back next month. And I'm just like, okay, yes, sir. He was he didn't win the title, but he was in the corner. He had my belt up. I got out of there, right? And I ran in the ring, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do, right? So I just ran up there, and I gave him a nut shot him off of the ropes, hit him with the title. They booed, we brought it back the next month and had another match, and it was special. Vince believed in me, whether it was a rib, whether it wasn't. He gave me the reins to make it work. And I did not get fired that night. And it was a very special night. When the Roddy Piper thing happened, he was there. Vince and Bruce were there. That was it. Me, Roddy, Vince, and Bruce. And he was 100% behind me then. So it was like, okay, I'm just going to do what I want to do here. Let's go. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean by that. And it was really cool because I feel like as you saw Goldust just like continue on, like you just really embraced the Goldust character. And I think that's why a lot of people look back at the Goldust character like very, very fondly, because it was that thing that got people, really, really just, it was different. Dustin, I know I have to wrap up this interview now, but I guess my last question for you is, when you look into 2024 and just like big things, like, man, any plans, any goals, any way that you're looking at 2024?
Okay, if you look at my career, right, it's 35 years, such a long time. I have wrestled everybody. At this point, I just want to have fun, and I would like to win the TNT title, but you have to realize I'm 50, almost 55 years old. But it's still, I want it. I want maybe a week's worth run of it, but it just depends on what the boss wants to do. But I love what I'm doing, and I think at this point it's about having fun and passing on my knowledge, right? And the kids taking something that I teach them and then pulling it off and getting the reactions they need. Like I said earlier, that's the payoff, and I think that's what the second part of my legacy is about.
I love it. Dustin, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me here today. I had a great time. I feel like I have like a zillion more questions I can ask you, but seriously, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. To everybody watching, thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.